Silly season getting a wrinkle yesterday in the NBA with free agency opening just last night and Kevin Durant putting the league on notice that he wants out of Brooklyn after requesting a trade out of NY. Durant reportedly has the Phoenix Suns and Miami Heat as preferred destination, but as you can imagine, others were trying to throw their names in the hat for the 12-time All-Star services, and why not? One of the greatest shooters of all time looking to leave Brooklyn there. So if his chapter is closing in New York from the Barclays there and coming to an end, the past 2 seasons he's played 90 games and has averaged close to 30 points per game while shooting the numbers of 53, 41, and 90. By the way, Durant's 4-year, $198 million contract extension that he signed just last summer doesn't kick in into the upcoming season. So somebody still has to pay the guy if you want number 7 in your locker room. All right, for more KD, our NBA columnist and insider Bill Reiter, who's been busy the past couple of days, and last night was probably a little bit more up the ante there. Once the news kind of came out, it kind of reminded me of the scene with Michael Cowell in The Office saying, this is happening. Kind of walk us through what's the next steps for Brooklyn and the future Hall of Famer here.
Yeah, what an earthquake of a story. We thought it was possible, and then it just dropped out of the sky earlier, I think, than most of us expected. A few things at play here, Brandon. Obviously, Durant and the Nets are going to have a divorce. There's no going back from this. I think the big question will be to what degree, if any, Sean Marks, who runs basketball operations for the Nets, he's their general manager, is open to the idea of helping Durant get where he wants to go. Because, frankly, the Miami Heat are hand-tied. It's very difficult under the cap rules for them to make a deal for Durant. It can be done, but it's difficult. And the same is true for the Suns. DeAndre Ayton in a sign and trade would hard cap the Nets. There may not be the assets that Brooklyn wants in return. So if Sean Marks wants to work with Durant, there's one outcome, and it's work with those two teams. But this might be literally the most valuable player in the history of the sport to be traded when you consider the fact that he's still at the top of his game, is a top, 3-4 player or better in the NBA. And as you noted, has 4 years left on his deal. So if Sean Marks, as I think he should, and so do people around the league, says to Kevin Durant, we're going to send you where we get the best return, then you're talking about a free-for-all. And I would say half of the teams in the league or more will try to make a play.
So Brooklyn unable to take care of their own there, but other teams doing that yesterday once everything kind of opened up at 6 p.m. Jokic, Bill, Cat, and also Morant. Thoughts on those moves of staying put in their franchises?
Yeah, what a perfect juxtaposition here. All of the drama this week of Russell Westbrook and Kyrie Irving, now Kevin Durant wanted to force his way out. There's a lesson for teams, and that is if you have a player that you've drafted who has performed at a high level or an exceptional level, or you think projects to that level, pay that man his money. What's the old expression, Brandon? Happy wife, happy life? Well, happy superstar, happy life. And whether it's Anthony Simmons at a lesser level, or it's Nikola Jokic, or it's all the players in between who got paid some big dollars yesterday, this is the modern NBA. If you have guys on your roster that you think are difference makers in the long term, you don't mess around, you don't play games, you pay them their money.
As you can see there, a lot of teams. You mentioned Anthony Simons there, Jokic here, the 264. We kind of joked before we got on air, who's going to be 300 million guy? We're getting close in the coming years. Other guys, we didn't hear much from yesterday, but we heard about James Harden, of course, early in the week, deciding to decline his opt-in of that $47 million. And then you got Zach LaVine, who was in Chicago, and he had options there, but we haven't heard anything. What's their situations as we head into day 2 here?
Yeah, you're right. Those are the two big names in very, very vastly different situations. Let's start with James Harden and the Philadelphia 76ers. As I understand it, talking to sources, and this has been reported widely around the league, they are on the same page. Obviously, Daryl Morey, who runs basketball operations in Philadelphia, has a relationship with James Harden going back to Houston. He's the guy that brought him in this trade over this past season, a few months ago at the deadline from the Nets. They're going to get together this weekend. They've already, wink, wink, probably agreed more or less to the terms, even though technically you're not supposed to do that. But the fact that PJ Tucker signed that 3-year deal for more than $30 million total means that they understand Harden's probably going to make in the $30 to $36 million a year range. We'll see what the years are. Expect 3 or 4, but they're on the same page. They're simpatico. They're going to make it work. Different situation for the Chicago Bulls. They wait with bated breath. I can tell you, talking to folks around the league, including around that Chicago organization, they're very nervous. They've built their idea about what they think it takes to compete around Zach LaVine. I think they will compete, and so do they if LaVine returns. But Zach LaVine's been pretty open that he wants to test free agency. And those few markets that are still out there that haven't made major moves, those places that think they can create some flexibility, they're going to wait and hope that Zach LaVine tries to force his way to a place like the Clippers, a place like he wants to play for the Lakers. We've discussed where that's hard. Even a place like Dallas, which is now really difficult. But the Zach LaVine sweepstakes, a lot more uncertain, a lot more open-ended than what's going on with James Harden.
We talked about guys taking care of their own. The Pelicans, of course, this news is coming down. Zion Williamson nearing a 5-year rookie max deal, up to worth $231 million. That contract would, of course, will run through 2027, 28. Your thoughts on, we've talked about in the past, the commitment with Zion, didn't play last season. Your thoughts on this possibly happening here?
We're going full circle, Brandon, in the conversation, because it really tests the limits of, if you think the guy might have the upside, you've got to pay him. This is a huge risk for New Orleans, and I think it's a risk that they have to take. You said it. Zion Williamson has been out of shape at times. He's obviously been injured, has not played a lot of the games in his time as a Pelican, and he's had people near him leak reports that he doesn't get along with or trust his general manager, David Griffin. All of that adds up to some drama, but if he's willing to be there, if he's willing to take the security, and frankly, Zion Williams is looking around and understands, I can force my way out of here if I'm not happy. The Pelicans have no choice. You have to give him the money. You drafted him #1 overall. You have to hope that he achieves and lives up to those expectations. This is a much bigger day, I think, for the Pelicans, because they got a chance to keep him, than it is Zion, who, if you're paying attention to how the NBA works, you take the money now, and if you're unhappy in a year, see Kevin Durant. You just force your way out.
All right, we'll see what happens, of course. It was a better team than he was when he was on the floor. You added C.J. McCollum there this past season, and Brandon Ingram had that step up, also making into that play-in. So maybe added motivation for him to get in shape and maybe get a trader with all that money now secured there. All right, appreciate it as always, Bill Reiter. Want to take a look at the odds when it comes to winning the whole thing. The Warriors still the favorite. Oh, wait a minute. They're not alone, though. The Suns also 6-1 at the top. That changing from yesterday a little bit. The Celtics at 650. You see the Nets down there 35-1. Question marks, of course, but it comes to Kevin Durant and his future in Brooklyn.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.